fellow Toastmasters. Do your friends send you inspirational emails? Sometimes these can be boring or overly sentimental. Once in a while, though, something pops up and provides a flash of genuine insight. A favorite of mine is the story of the mayonnaise jar. Put up your hands if this is familiar to you. A professor stands in front of the class. He is holding a mayonnaise jar. He fills it with rocks about 2 inches in diameter. He asks, "Is this jar full?" The students nod their heads. He puts in some pebbles. He shakes the jar gently. The pebbles take their place among the larger rocks. Again he inquires, "Is it full?" The students nod again, although some chuckles can be heard. The professor pours in sand, filling the remaining space in the jar. "This jar," he says, "is like life. The rocks are the truly important things, what we really value. The pebbles are other things that matter in our lives. The sand is the remaining small stuff that isn't really important at all. If I had put sand in the jar first, there would have been no room for the pebbles or the rocks. So it is with life. If we focus all our time and energy on the swell stuff, we will never have room for what is really important. We can all pick out our rocks, pebbles, and sand. Relationships with family, making a contribution in my workplace and community, and spiritual activities are the rocks in my jar. Money, keeping organized, being fit and healthy, and dressing well are some of the pebbles. There's lots of sand. Most purchase decisions and what I would eat or wear on any given day are some examples. Of course, you will all prioritize things differently. However, what this speech is really about is beer. There's another version of this story. After the sand, the professor, or probably one of the students, pours in some beer. It's meant to be a joke. However, I believe this story deepens the lesson by adding a few more insights. Let's take a look at the beer. First, until the beer is poured in, the jar is not really full. Secondly, no matter what combination of rocks, pebbles, and sand we put in, there is always room for beer. Thirdly, pouring in the beer enhances the colors of the rocks, pebbles, and sand. So what is my point? How can thinking about beer help us to live a full life? Well, for me, the beer represents pleasure and fun. Those small enjoyments that add beauty and lightness to our lives. No matter what those retirement ads say, a life spent seeking just pleasure and fun would probably be no fun at all. Yet just as the beer is not full just as this jar is not full without the beer, our lives are not complete without these elements. I have a quote taped on my computer. It runs something like this: "The constant rejection and denial of pleasure will lead to meanness, cynicism, boredom, lack of humor, depression, and possibly burnout." In experience, I found this to be true. When I get busy and forget to put beer in my jar, I become stressed and frustrated. There seems to be entirely too much to do. Sometimes we think that if we focus on the most important things, we'd never have any fun. I don't think this is true. There's always room for beer. In fact, I believe that if we put the rocks firmly in place, this will magically increase our beer space. When we focus on the most important priorities, it puts the lesser things into perspective. We are less willing to waste time on them. We handle them more efficiently. This opens up some mental space and a more reasonable sense of time. We become aware of opportunities for fun and pleasure, and more willing to take advantage of them. Now what about those colors? Well, Passing a career-critical exam is great, but isn't it better if we can celebrate in some way, perhaps over a beer? Taking care of a family member who's going through difficulties is made less painful when it's balanced out by memories of pleasures we have shared. Isn't friendship always deepened best over laughter? Heck, even Saturday morning chores are less onerous if we know they're to be followed by a movie date. In experience, I've found that it is the pebbles and sand that threaten to fill up our jars and take over our time. If you have ever spent a day purchasing, returning, and maintaining inconsequential consumer goods, you will know what I mean. To prevent this, we need to select and place our rocks. But fellow Toastmasters, we must also remember the beer.